So big up podcast cringe bites. Let's go over this one. The embarrassing text Brendan Schaub didn't want you to see. So this is a carry on from the lawsuit, obviously. Let's see what he's saying. Big up podcast cringe. Big up podcast cringe.
Even with this lawsuit thing, right? With this YouTuber, that's all around the same time. I have a whole team, right? You have business managers, you have this entertainment manager, you got lawyer, you got this. I have a whole bunch of people working for me at the time. Whatever issue they have with it, I couldn't tell you what's going on with it. I couldn't tell you when it's going to end. I know nothing about. I don't associate with them anymore. I couldn't tell you.
What a bad move. What a bad move.
All right, guys. Today we're going straight to the receipts in this new lawsuit against Brendan Schaub because we have a bunch of Brendan's own text messages. If you've been following along, you already know Brendan's landed himself in legal hot water over his business dealings with Pure Spectrum CBD. But today I want to zero in on one specific part of this disaster, the private messages that show how quickly Brendan goes from confident business shark to blaming everyone else the second things fall apart. I'm also going to show you guys how this is a pattern of behavior all too familiar from this guy. As you saw in the intro just there, and as I've previously covered in multiple videos, Brendan sued a smaller YouTuber, Kyle Swindells, and lost. He was one of the channels that posted a video of Brendan giving his number out to another woman at an NFL party, and the way he dealt with that...
Like, I'm not going to lie. I actually want to know how you got away with this. For my fellas out there that have been caught cheating, or maybe had accusations been levied against them, you know how hard it is sometimes, downright impossible to get out of that situation. I would love to know what he said to Joanna that made her believe that what she saw wasn't what she saw. Like, how did he explain this? I'd love to know. We know what he might have did, right? Because you know, the whole like buying a house for his mother-in-law thing was probably part of the makeup thing. But I would love to know what he said to kind of ease her pain, to bring down her fucking temperature, to not make her want to crash out, to stop her from fucking hit. Like, what did he say that would have made that okay? Because I can't think of a scenario. I can't think of anything I could say that would make my girlfriend, wife, fiance, whatever, boyfriend, husband, believe that this was innocent. This was nothing. No big deal. I just handed some cute girl a piece of paper and then smiled and then walked. You know what I mean? Like, winked. Like, I don't know what I could say that would make that okay. You know? So I would love to know what that guy said, because whatever he said, it worked. Or maybe whatever he did is the main reason. Maybe he did something. Maybe he gave some money. That's what I'm missing out on. But fuck, you know. What a legend, bro. What a fucking legendary fumble.
That is from the very same playbook as his behavior in this lawsuit. And in my opinion, this is his most toxic character trait, and he simply cannot stop. Like I said, though, we've got the texts.
Big up Emdus. What does Lex do? I think he's scamming Bapper the biggest. No, I don't think so. I think Lex is a handler, basically. I think without Lex, Brendan will be in a lot more trouble than he is now. I think Lex has stopped any number of like atrocities taking place. I swear to God, I think he has. Knowing how redacted Brendan is, I think Lex has stepped in the way and prevented many things from going down that would have made Brendan's life a living hell, and it would have provided us with endless bits of content. He's probably put the kibosh on a lot of things. And he probably just keeps the lights going as well. Give him credit for that. Because I think if Brendan was in control of his own books, if Brendan had to do his own accounting, he'd be fucked. So I think he handles all that stuff as well. So I think Lex is the handler, and he's been one of the best hires recently in Brendan Schaub times, outside of probably Chin. Lex is definitely an MVP, I think.
We've got a hilariously fucking desperate marketing email, and we've got another textbook example of Brendan trying to prop up his stand-up career using shortcuts, and then throwing his team under the bus when it all inevitably explodes in his face. This isn't about theory or speculation. This is Brendan's own words lined up in black and white, showing exactly how his career strategy has worked for years. Rush in unprepared, overhype the product, panic when it flops, blame the team, rinse and repeat. And trust me, by the end of this video, you'll see how this moron uses the same moves, the same shortcuts, then the blame game with zero accountability, showing up across everything Brendan touches. Just a quick reminder though, these messages are from the court filings lodged by Brady Bell in Palm Beach, Florida. Brendan hasn't filed a defense yet, so he hasn't had a chance to put forward his side of the story, which may end up being very different to the allegations made by the plaintiff.
I am so desperate to find out what the counter for this will be. I'm so desperate. I can't wait for that update to happen. I'm so desperate for the counter because so far it's pretty black and white. He gets signed on to Pure Spectrum. He gets given a good amount of money to do a minimal amount of work. Brendan doesn't do any of the deliverables. Zero, I think 0 out of 88 or something in terms of providing stuff that they need. And that's why and obviously he's also used as a person to kind of oust the original founder in some sort of hostile takeover thing. So I'm curious to know what Brendan's defense will be for this, or will he just settle out of court?
Also, this is a civil case, not a criminal case. So it's effectively a business dispute and in no way represents a criminal prosecution of Brendan Schaub. If the plaintiff is successful, though, I imagine criminal charges will follow pretty quick. Let's rewind to May 25, 2019, the earliest text we've seen from this mess, and honestly, it's the most peak Brendan Schaub thing you'll hear all day. You'd be surprised is out, the internet's roasting him, and Brendan's already spiraling. He texts Brady Bell and just soak this up, guys. Hey boss, you're def one of the smarter people I know, so I'm reaching out to you. Please keep this between us. So, with my special coming out brings out a new reason for the haters to jump on me. Straight off the bat, keep this between us. Classic.
You know what's funny about that as well? Like I said in the other post, like on the other stream, I love that he just immediately thinks anybody that doesn't like what he does, anybody that doesn't think he's funny, anybody that goes out of their way to leave a comment and share their opinion on why they don't think he's funny are haters. They can't just be people that don't think he's funny. They have to be malicious. They have to be evil, conniving, basement dwelling, Cheetos, fingers covered people. That's what they have to be. They can't just be individuals who listen to stand up, watch a bit of stand up, are fans of stand up and think, you know what, you're fucking terrible. You've been propped up by the machine, aka Joe Rogan, and we don't believe you're deserving of your position. We actually think you're, not, the most undeserving person, or we just think you're a piece of shit. Whatever it may be, it just has to be hate. It can't just be like, hey, no. They've just listened to what you had to say over the years and they're not big fans.
Bupper secrecy, followed by the immediate pity party. But it gets better. It's been brought to my attention these idiots created a campaign to shit on the special and are creating accounts and leaving awful reviews and 1-star reviews on IMBD.
By the way, I love again another small detail to fucking observe and to note. All locals, every single locale has this tendency to always say, it's been brought to my attention. Somebody sent me. I don't even go looking for this stuff. I don't even check that stuff. I don't even watch that stuff. They always say that. They never find stuff by themselves. It's always somebody doing the legwork for them. Somebody delivering the fucking portfolio, the binder, the one sheet of hate for them to read and react to. It's never them checking stuff themselves because that's what normal people do, right? If you're a normal functioning human being, you might from time to time Google yourself. You might from time to time check out a video that somebody has said about you or made about you that is maybe a little bit critical. You might read a bad review. That's what regular people do. You might check your mentions. You might check your replies, check your DMs. But all locals love to act like they're high and mighty, like they're above it. Oh, I don't even check that stuff. I don't even watch that stuff. I don't even know what's going on. Yeah, sure, buddy, sure.
First of all, IMDb is still spelled wrong. Consistency is the key here, guys. But more importantly, he's framing this like it's some brand coordinated conspiracy, when in reality, his special just bombed because he's literally the worst man to have ever attempted stand-up comedy in history. But Bupper's not done. Spoke with IMBD. They said the same thing happened to Amy Schumer and Kevin Hart. Only way to combat this is by having positive reviews and rankings. We can't shut this smear campaign down, even though it's just on IMBD, but still I hate feeling like these schmucks are winning. Absolute fucking gold. Brendan compares himself to Amy Schumer and Kevin Hart, like he's the next breakout megastar getting attacked by trolls rather than, you know, a meathead trying to force his way into comedy. But the desperation's setting in, he hates feeling like these schmucks are winning, so naturally, it's time to cook up a database plan.
And that is, again, reminds me of DSP. DSP during his, descent to fucking, lunacy, is still fucking spiraling. But during the whole Kino Casino arc, one of the things that came out of it that was fucking funny as fuck when everyone was trying to, people were trying to point him to the direction of like, hey, maybe you should get rid of this guy in your community that is a little bit of a PDF. And DSP was staunchly against it. The reason why he was against it was because he didn't want to give the detractors a win. He didn't want to give his haters, his trolls, a win. So he'd rather spite himself and make himself look like essentially a fucking a PDF sympathizer, enabler, by not banning that person or really making sure to put distance between himself and that user, because he doesn't want to give the flipping trolls and the haters a win. Can you imagine how deranged you can be? Similar to Brendan. Instead of focusing on the haters and not wanting to give them a win or whatever, maybe I don't know, take some time to think about why people hate you so much. Why are they going out of their way to leave me bad reviews? Why are they trying to review bomb me? Like, what have I done? What have I done as a person that would elicit such a reaction? It's never that, though. It's always everyone else's fault.
Bell responds like a corporate hype man. First off, you are on top of a very high mountain, and all the sheeple below will always be yelling up at who's on top. Let me develop a strategy and plan.
To be fair, now reading that back, a part of me is like, hey, what's his name? Bob, whatever, the guy that owned the Spectrum. You kind of have yourself to blame. You were really trying really hard to suck up to Brendan and to become his friend, maybe in the hopes of that leading to you to becoming friends with Rogan, maybe also in the hopes of you appearing on Rogan. I don't know what the long game was, regardless. Maybe you're deserving of what's happened and you deserve to get bumped. You deserve to get scammed. Because you tried to befriend Rogan. You tried to befriend Brendan and it blew up in your face. You know? You tried to really go heavy-handed with the whole lion and sheep fucking, shitty analogy. And he still ended up fucking scamming you.
And Brendan, he's already spiraling.
Allegedly.
Harder. Fuck, this is great. Yeah, it's embarrassing to even confess it affects me. I couldn't sleep. Figured you would have an idea and not judge me. Weird position to be in. There it is. Full meltdown mode. Can't sleep. Worried about the internet haters. Desperately leaning on Pure Spectrum's database as the solution. And he even admits his comedy friends told him to ignore it. My other friends who are in comedy or TV just say don't pay attention to any of it. But does Brendan listen?
And that's something that you clue into when you follow and you read it, or you kind of tune into a lot of Brendan Schaub lore. As much as you can blame his friends, Rogan and stuff, for enabling and encouraging his behavior, when you really focus in on it, a lot of this stuff is self-inflicted. Especially the stand-up comedy shit with Showtime. He admitted himself, Brian Callen, Joe Rogan, everyone else around him told him not to do that special with Showtime so early. I've gone on record to say that although the special was still fucking terrible, you'd be surprised on Showtime. Considering all the other specials I've seen, considering the amount of fucking Kill Tony I've watched in my own time and with you guys on stream, I think Brendan is just about average of a comedian. I think most comedians are probably Brendan Schaub level or a bit better. But he's not the worst comedian in the world. They try to make it seem like he was, but he's not really. Having watched many specials from a lot of these top comedians who have a really big, bigger profile, way more followers, way richer, way more regarded in the industry. But when you actually watch their specials, it's pretty terrible. But it also makes me believe that even if it was that shit, maybe if you would have waited a couple more years, maybe it wouldn't have been received as badly. Maybe it's the fact that he started comedy so soon, he gets a special, then he drops one straight away. it made people predisposed to maybe hating it. So maybe if he would have waited and listened to his friends, maybe he wouldn't have got as much hate as he got on the first one. I think he still would have got it anyway, because he's a very, he's a very easy person to hate, as Thea Vod would say. But I wonder if he would have delayed the release of that special a couple of years, whether it would be the same amount of vitriol that would be aimed towards him if that was the case. I really do wonder.
Fuck no. He says, when it's a smear campaign against something I worked my ass off for and it's a good product, the competitive side comes out.
Smear campaign, good product. Why can't people just be allowed to think it's shit? That's what I don't understand. Why can't, even if you don't agree, and I get it, as an artist or as a creative, you're meant to be sensitive. You're meant to be in tune with your emotions to a certain degree so that you can use that to kind of funnel that into your work, blah, 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 blah. But what happened to just some people not liking what you do? Why does it always have to be some big conspiracy? Why can't it just be some people just think you're shit? Cool. Some people think you're pretty decent. Cool. Point your camera toward their direction. Point your eyes toward their direction. Give them your all. Not make it all about the fucking haters.
Worked his ass off. Good product. Okay, Brendan, whatever helps you sleep at night, buddy. Oh, wait, never mind. You said you couldn't sleep. So at this point, the whole plan's already being formed here. Brendan's melting down, asking for help, laying the groundwork to weaponize Pure Spectrum's customer database to combat the bad reviews. Forget reflecting on his set, forget fixing the material, it's straight to panic mode, database manipulation, and corporate-grade damage control. This guy's always taken shortcuts. I mean, fuck. What are we doing here, B?
That's a great point, by the way. And I mentioned it previously on the other stream. That was the most surprising thing about this whole lawsuit, is that Brendan's been taking shortcuts from the beginning. Usually those shortcuts happen I don't know, maybe from my limited experience of watching YouTubers from afar, content creators, streamers and shit. Usually when the money comes and the attention comes and the following comes and the clout comes, maybe the work ethic isn't there. Maybe attention to detail isn't there. Maybe the consistency isn't there, right? Reliability, whatever it may be. Maybe the WhatsApp kind of disappears. And maybe you start to see a lot more like, shoddy fucking brand collaborations, sponsorships, whatever. Paying the bills. It is what it is. But it usually happens towards the end of somebody's career. Not right in the beginning. Right in the beginning. Like, it doesn't make any sense. So that's the really strange thing. So that leads me to believe that most likely this Brendan guy has always been a bad dude from get-go. Because you're taking these types of shortcuts of not delivering on these fucking deliverables when it comes to being a social media influencer type person, when it comes to making excuses of other fighters and how they perform. Like, it's just like, come on, man. Come on. You can't be doing this, but maybe you can.
But sure enough, 3 days later, May 28, we get the now infamous follow-up text. What's the plan with the IMBD reviews? Should we just use the Pure Spectrum email list to be safe, my man?
Can you imagine? I don't even get why that even makes sense. Like, why would you think emailing people who sign up for Pure Spectrum CBD oil, why would they be bothered, concerned, or give a fuck about your fucking IMDb fucking review? Like, what? It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Zero. They did that. So it's a good thing that he got pulled up on it.
The same conversation escalated. Brendan's desperate, the plan's in motion, but what happened next is somehow even more redacted than those text messages. Let's talk about the email, because this thing is peak bupper desperation disguised as marketing genius, exactly, and it aged about as well as Gringo Papi did. Shortly after Brendan's text suggesting they use the Pure Spectrum email list to be safe, this email lands in the inbox of thousands of CBD customers, people just looking for some relief from joint pain, anxiety, maybe a good night's sleep, unlike our boy Bupper. And instead, they get this. Let's show our support for Brendan. As you all know, my business partner, Brendan Schaub, debuted his comedy special on Showtime earlier this month. Today, I am asking our customers and the entire Fighter and the Kid army to help support this special.
Crazy, isn't it? You sign up for CBD oil, now you're getting spam Brendan Schaub emails to leave favorable reviews in exchange for what? Like discount codes and shit. Like, come on, man. I still can't believe he thought this is a good idea. Number one, to combat the trolls, to dunk on the haters or whatever it may be, and now it's obviously coming to bite him in the ass. But what a
powerful
dumb move.
bunch.
Yo, big up Cumberland Sausage. Big up Cumberland Sausage. Thank you for joining. Big up Cumberland Sausage. Legend.
Follow the link, leave the kind of review Brendan deserves for You'd Be Surprised, and you'll receive 50% off your entire Pure Spectrum order. Now, just let that sink in. You're minding your own business, waiting on your CBD products, and suddenly you're being roped into the great Brendan Schaub reputation damage control campaign.
Exactly.
And that one sentence, leave the kind of review Brendan deserves, is funnier than anything in the comedy special itself. They may as well just have said, please help us artificially boost this flaming pile of shit comedy special before the internet completely turns it into a massive meme. It's cringy, it's desperate, and more importantly, it's exactly what Brendan asked for. But as always, oh man, things got worse. Within days, Showtime catches wind of the promo, and according to Brendan's own texts, they're not happy. Suddenly, the man...
Yikes, emo plan backfired. I'm still of the thinking that most likely Brendan's the one that told him. He told him confidently, oh my god, yeah, I've got this great plan to combat the trolls and the haters. I'm working with Pure Spectrum. We send an email. Like I'm pretty certain he offered up that information without any level of encouragement or coaxing. And the reps at Showtime were looking at him like, what did you just say? What did you just say? Surely you didn't say what I thought you just said. You know? I'm pretty sure. And then he realized he got in trouble. Like, oopsie, maybe I shouldn't have said that. But God almighty. I just love how he throws the guy under the bus. He suggests the idea of spamming that guy's business contacts and shit, right? Leads that you'd imagine he worked quite hard to get them. And then he throws him under the bus and says, oh, by the way, I told him it was all your fault. Fucking hell.
And who was all in on the email spam is panicking. Here's the next message to Brady Bell. Yikes. Email plan backfired, my man. Showtime just called me not happy. Said we can't pay for positive reviews in any facet. Fuck, you reckon, mate? Right on cue. The same fucking guy who suggested the database, approved the blast, and benefited from the promo is now pretending to be the victim of a rogue marketing team. It gets better. Brendan follows up with this instant deflection. This is seriously the best part. Holy shit, listen to this, right? I had to tell them that you guys were just trying to have my back and I wasn't aware of positive reviews. One text, full 180. It's no longer my idea. It's I wasn't aware.
I wasn't aware, you know. What an utter scumbag. I wonder if that's what turned off the guy anyway from Brendan. I wonder if he read that message to himself was like, what the fuck, man? What the fuck? Where's the loyalty? Where's the honor? Where's anything? Like, God almighty. I'm out here looking out for you, and at the first sign of trouble, at the first bit of fucking friction, suddenly he fucking turns on the guy like, ay.
The team did it. Blame them. Classic Bupper. When it looks good, he's front and center. When it backfires, first man off the sinking ship. But somehow this story's still not done because the Comedy Central chapter is the cherry on top, or as Brendan would say, a real peach's delight. So you'd think after that email disaster, after Showtime calls him out, after Brendan throws Pure Spectrum under the bus, after scrambling to cover his tracks, he would have learned his lesson. But no, this is Brendan Schaub we're talking about. Come on, guys, what the fuck's wrong with you people? Barely 3 weeks later, with You'd Be Surprised still circling the drain and the online backlash still going strong, Brendan's back in the text pitching another genius marketing plan to Brady Bell. Here's what he sends on June 14, 2019. Yo, have an idea. Tell me what you think. Just to combat the hate we got from the Showtime special, maybe we can blast out the entire email list my Comedy Central piece on YouTube. No offer or discount, but just so it shows the support in the same way. Does that make sense? Well, would you look at that?
Jesus Christ, man. Can't stop, won't stop. Surely you'd think he'd got the message now, like, just stop. Nah. Still trying to hustle that fucking photographer. Like, come on, bro. Come on. It makes no sense. And also, why doesn't he do this? Why doesn't he do this with his own fans? That's what I'm still struggling to figure out. Like, why wouldn't he want to do this email blast list to his own fans? Or does he just not have their emails? Why isn't he post this on his social media and say, hey, if you're a fan of TFATK, counteract some of these fucking bad reviews, leave a good review for me, and you might win a fucking gift card. Maybe it's not exactly legal, but still, like, come on, bro. It's not that difficult. It really isn't.
Pure redacted logic right there. The first email backfired, Showtime's mad, customers are annoyed, but instead of pumping the brakes, Brendan's right back to spamming CBD customers to combat the hate. Forget working on new material, forget grinding out sets on the road like a real comic. The solution, blast your Comedy Central clip to the same mailing list you just threw under the bus 3 weeks earlier. And of course, when Brady Bell and the team agree with the idea, Brendan gives it the thumbs up. Yeah, perfect. Nothing crazy. Just like, hey team, Pure Spectrum's own is on Comedy Central. Check it out. The same desperate playbook, just
Pure Spectrum's own, you know. Pure Spectrum's own.
Recycled. And what's wild is this isn't even a one-off. It's how Brendan handles everything, from podcast to stand-up to shady promo campaigns. The blueprint never changes, B.
So the lawsuit thing, I'm sure it's a question, the lawsuit thing. A guy who's no longer with me, a business guy, comes to me and goes, hey, man, there's this guy on YouTube. Again, I hand to God, I've never seen any of it. I don't see any of it. So this guy who works for me, right, doing this stuff.
Honestly, not seeing anything is one of the main tenets of being a locale. Not seeing anything, not being aware of anything, everything having to be presented to you, sent to you, you know, fucking projected to you, emailed to you, attached to you. You don't see anything. That's how busy you are. You don't see nothing. Low.
Business manager, he goes, hey man, I got a call from this lawyer. I've known him a long time. That there's this guy on YouTube. He's making thousands of videos. You know,
talking about Unique, by the way. Talking about Unique.
You know, bad mouthing you and using your content, blah, blah. And I go,
he said, I don't care.
I go, I don't care, dude.
And of course, Brian Callen coming in with a rescue. Brian Callen coming in with the human meat shield, going out of his way to protect him, which is fucking lame and dumb. Let the guy defend himself. He's a grown-ass fucking man. He got himself into that trouble. Let him defend himself. Let him defend himself, you dork.
There's a million of them. What are you going to do? He goes, that's bad, man. He said, you hit your kids. And I was like, okay. Next week comes back, same thing. Dude, I'm telling you, I really think we should do something. You know, and they know how to pull out my heartstring. He goes, you know, he has a rap sheet where, you know, he beat his son. It's on video on there. I'm like, whoa. All right, do what you got to do.
That's right.
And I was told,
Child abuse.
ready, I was told.
And I don't even get that point, by the way. Like, I don't even understand the point of like, oh, Unique hits his kids, so now I'm gonna sue him for defamation. Like, what? What correlation do they have with each other? Like, it's such a weird point to make. I guess he's trying to like moral grandstand. I get it, but like in the fucking support of the lawsuit or the lawsuit, it makes no sense. Okay, one guy allegedly beats their kids. What's that got to do with you? And the things that he said about you on his channel. What's that got to do with the video in particular of you handing a note to that girl on live stream? Huh. Yo, big up Gamebred Footballer. Big up Jordan Ray. Big up Silly M. Or Billy M, not Silly M. Billy M. Apologies, my eyesight's really bad. Big up Billy M.
This is easy to take 3 months. It's still going on. That was
really
3 years ago. It's still going on. But here's what people don't realize is, so they told me 3 months, and I don't know if they were in cahoots together, just getting money out of me or whatever. Me 10 years ago, I would never. You're never going to beat the internet. It's just, internet's going to internet. There's nothing you can do.
Internet's going to internet.
Too little, too late, brother. Too little, too late. You should have done this from the beginning of your career. Too little, too late. But from minute one, he thought he was better than the internet. He thought he was smarter than the internet. He thought he could bully the internet. That's where the whole homeless cats fucking rant comes from. Bullying. Thinks he can fucking, you know, Billy Big Balls a situation. And he ended up getting fucking trolled into oblivion. To the point where he's now doing a fucking podcast from a fucking converted garage. Can you imagine that? Going from this amazing, beautiful studio with plenty of rooms, maybe a little bit too much, maybe a bit overboard, to go from that to that garage definitely speaks to not taking things, you know, in his stride, and also not allowing the internet to internet. Thinking you could win, and now you're losing in a big way.
And at the time, like the initial cost, good amount of money, but again, at the time, whatever, your boy's balling.
That's his rationale. Because I've got a lot of money, I can afford to file this frivolous lawsuit in an attempt to bully and intimidate a content creator to stop highlighting and pointing out my shortcomings, indeficiencies, and maybe my tendency to cheat on my wife in public. That's a good use of my funds. That's a good use of my money.
You know, so at the time, like, yeah, do what you got to do. Well, thank God, and people don't realize this, and even if he's doing, like, dragging it out, it's pro bono. I don't pay anymore. So whatever issue they have with it, I couldn't tell you what's going on with it. I couldn't tell you when it's going to end. I know nothing about. I don't associate with them anymore.
It's funny that Podcast Cringe made a video that made him have to clarify this, by the way. Podcast Cringe forced Brendan's lawyers to get him to basically sign a document that says no, he knows everything. He's been informed. He's kept abreast. You know what I mean? He knows everything. We're not acting like alone. Like, he made it seem like the lawyers are just doing their own thing. Like, brother, you filed the fucking lawsuit. It doesn't work that way. Your lawyers don't just go and just keep on keeping on without your input, without your fucking permission, you know? Without your say-so, without your approval. Oh, yeah, this guy. Because he was losing at that point, that's why he wanted to kind of wash his hands away from it. It's like, you can't do that to lawyers. Like, yeah, I mean, you're almost fucking up their reputation. They have to fucking fight against that. They have to clarify those type of things.
I couldn't tell you. I could not tell you.
Now, here's where things get real familiar, because if you've been following my coverage of Brendan's other legal dramas, you've seen this exact play before. Remember the lawsuit against Kyle Swindells, the one where Brendan sued a smaller YouTuber for posting clips from The Fighter and the Kid, only to lose, appeal the decision, and then somehow forget who was even running the case. It's that same energy. That whole situation gave us a front row seat to Brendan's beautiful bind, claiming he wasn't involved, blaming his business manager, suggesting his own lawyer and team might have scammed him, and then signing a sworn affidavit completely contradicting everything I just said there. It was honestly impressive. You know when lawyers tell their clients to shut the fuck up and don't say a word about the case? This is exactly why. Brendan managed to tell the whole world on his podcast that he had no control over Thick Boy Productions, that his business manager and the lawyer were running everything, only to turn around and sign a legal document claiming he was fully in charge, totally informed, and calling all the shots.
I just don't understand why he even said anything in the first place. Like it really didn't even need to get addressed in that way. You should just said, "Hey, it's in the courts now. I obviously can't speak on it," and just let it be. Like there was no explanation, especially from Brendan anyway, with his inability to fucking articulate himself correctly or well. There was no explanation that was ever going to make him make sense or ever going to make him look good. She just left it alone.
Sound familiar? That's exactly the same shit he tried to pull with these pure spectrum text messages. Brendan proposes a questionable idea. Let's use the CBD database. Brendan approves the promo email. The plan explodes. Showtime's mad. Suddenly, Brendan wasn't aware, blames the team, acts confused. Fucking unbelievable. First with Swindells, now with Pure Spectrum. Every time there's legal heat, business drama, or public backlash, Brendan suddenly transforms into the most uninformed man alive. And
exactly, so fucking true. Big up, Podcast Cringe. Yeah. I can't wait to see how this plays out, man. I really can't. It still boggles the mind that Brendan just went out of his way to fucking scam this brand just because he's being a dickhead. For no reason. The deliverables are so easy, man. The deliverables are so easy. I think I might have some of it here on this. This is the official lawsuit, right? Big up the person who uploaded this. So I think the deliverables, right? This is what he's been sued for: fraud, theft, and conversion, civil theft, unjust enrichment, wire fraud, IRS fraud, filing tax returns, and civil conspiracy to commit tax fraud. But there's a list of the deliverables somewhere. Look what he had to do. Look what he had to do. Look what he had to do. Look how easy it was, bro. And he still found a way to fuck it up. All he had to do to ensure that he kept on receiving a steady paycheck of 370,000 plus whatever he would have made on top of it was post 5 Instagram stories per month. Per month, by the way, not per day or per week, per month. Publish 2 static posts monthly on all social media platforms. Feature Pure Spectrum on all these podcasts. Allow his name and likeness to be used for marketing on Pure Spectrum side. Host Plaintiff, the founder of Pure Spectrum, on The Fighter and the Kid or other podcasts. Make a in-person appearance per year based on availability of Mrs. Schaub. How hard would that have been to done? How hard would that have been to do? How hard would that have been? And he still found a way to say, nah, fuck that. I'm gonna do things my own way. I ain't gonna do it the way that you want me to do it. And now he's fucked and probably gonna have to pay a lot of money to settle this. A lot of money that he probably doesn't have. It's fucking crazy. It's not really crazy because it's Brendan, but it is kind of crazy, you know, because it is Brendan. You get what I mean? Oh my flipping God. Oh my flipping God.